Maddie. Welcome back to Vitality Vault with Vitality Ventures Group, a production by Vitality Lens. Today we're joined by Angela Kelsey-Giddings of Ridgefield Acupuncture. We poked through the philosophy behind acupuncture and the valuable business life lessons she's learned along the way. If you'd like to connect with Angela and follow her along on her journey, I'll link everything you need down below. Empowered women empower women. Take it away, Angela and Shannon. I've never done this before. This is a little intimidating.
Oh, okay. So, no, you don't. It's just talking to me. All you're doing is talking to me.
I know.
And I have a million fucking questions.
Totally right. Oh, good.
About acupuncture.
I hope I have a million fucking answers.
I'm sure you do. No, well, before we even start our mannequin, and if you like say something, you're like, oh, and you go home and you're like, I wish I didn't say that. She can edit things. Okay. I mean, she has to fucking edit me, so yeah, that's a whole different level.
Thank you, because that was one of the thing I was talking to my husband about. Is I was just like, I'm afraid of putting my foot in my mouth and then being like, yeah, no.
No. Don't worry about that, because I find if you try to edit yourself while we're talking, it doesn't flow.
Yeah.
So we had one person who's like, yeah, could you just take that out? Mm-hmm. And I agreed with it. Okay. It was about somebody else.
Yeah.
That's really the totally thing. So, but before we start, or whatever, do you have a new spaceship?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you all about. No. Is it okay if I ask you about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'll keep the less favorable details out of the past.
But I mean, the goal is to let other women know.
Well, and I
the ups and downs of entrepreneurship.
And I think that's part of the journey too. Is really realizing that sometimes that path is not straightforward, and you can see what people have accomplished.
It's never straightforward.
And you're like, how did you get here?
Yes.
And they tell the story, but sometimes they forget to tell all that meandering.
Well, I think it's
offshoots.
Like childbirth. You forget how painful it was.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
So then you fucking do it again. And then you go, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's I think running and building your own business is like that, where, first of all, it's never straight. It's always like, holy crap, it's a struggle, it's a war, it's wonderful, it's horrible, it's all the things.
Absolutely.
You're going to make mistakes, but those mistakes are where you learn how to do it better next time, because there's literally no way to avoid that part.
And it teaches you so much about yourself.
Yep.
I think that's the biggest thing. Are you recording now?
Of course. She's always
awesome.
Recording.
No, I think the biggest thing is it teaches you about yourself. I think that's the part I didn't realize. I knew anytime you jump into something, you realize this is some reflection. Whether it's I'm not very good at making necklaces to, that's an area that's really hard for me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't
that's
realize
why
how much it was going to be.
If you ever want to grow in a business, if you ever want your business to grow, you can't be a solo entrepreneur. You can't. Now, you can be one if you're very fine, maintaining status quo, don't want anybody else involved. But to really grow or get anywhere, you have to have a team, because you will find out what you're really good at, which you knew, which is why you started the business, and then you will find out you're really sucky at all the other shit.
Yeah,
and that's why you get someone who's good at it, because they love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think back to what you said about the status quo, that was part of what I started out to do. What I stepped out to do was mix up the status quo.
Let's stop for a second.
Okay.
Angela Giddings. No, there's two last names.
There's two last names. Angela Kelsey-Giddings.
Angela Kelsey-Giddings is with us today, and she is an acupuncturist, which is fascinating to me because
me too.
It seems very woo-woo, but it's not. I know it's super science-based, and it's been around for gazillions of years. And so we're talking to Angela because she has recently closed down the location you had, and you're looking to open up another location. So we're talking about the trials and tribulations and that was the first time you opened a business, right? And you were just it was just going to be you, and you were just going to be like, I'll be in my little space and I'll be fine.
Starting out that way, yes.
Okay.
The goal was to eventually expand And, there were some hiccups along the way, one of which realizing wasn't super familiar with the area as far as a lot of people from Portland or Oregon just in general don't want to come across the river, even though it's only 30 minutes. And
that is true.
So there's a huge
I don't want to
amount-
go across the river even though it's only 30 minutes.
Totally. There's a huge group of acupuncturists that are down in the Portland area. And so hiring has been my biggest challenge with
really
individuals that want to travel, that are of the quality we were looking for.
So that was probably something it never occurred to you that it would be a problem.
No. I thought I knew what I was going to pay. I knew it was competitive. And I knew the vision that I wanted to have.
It's a competitive space, the acupuncture space?
It depends. It really depends. One of the best advices I got from one of my mentors was leave the nest. A lot of people tend to go to grad school and set up practice in the city they went to grad school in. Well, there's tons of acupuncturists. Go leave the nest. Right. Go to in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, where they don't have any. Or Ridgefield.
Right.
And open up a place. Not because it's easy, it's not, but because...
Well, less competition.
So you can focus on being a better practitioner. Mm-hmm. You can focus on being more patient-centered and less fear-based of, am I going to be able to attract the patients I want to? Right. So, the goal was always to open up bigger. I just thought it was going to happen differently. And now that I know that,
So how did you... So tell me what you learned. Because I think before anybody starts their business, you could work in a business forever. Mm-hmm. You could work for someone else, and you think you know.
Yeah.
And then when you do your own thing, you go, oh, crap.
Yeah.
No idea.
I think there's so much more I don't know than I know right now, which is kind of as somebody who's always really loved school and loved learning things, it's kind of an uncomfortable place to be. But I think that's just being an entrepreneur, is being in that place of
uncomfortable.
Comfortable.
You're always on. If you're an entrepreneur and you're starting to be like, I'm comfortable, that's a problem.
And not stressed. Like, it's a difference between being stressed and overwhelmed and just, okay, this is an uncomfortable place. Mm-hmm. I think... let's see here. That you asked. I want to get back to your question, and I kind of went off. What was it? What would we come back to?
Well, what did you learn? What did you think? Well, let's do this. Okay. What did you think you knew that you were like, that's not true?
I thought it was eventually. Well, it took me forever to be able to pay myself. That was.
Oh yeah.
Longer than I thought it was, and I think longer than my husband would have liked, but. That was built into our dynamics.
So now let me ask you a question, because you could Google and you could say, I'm opening up a business. How quickly will I be in the black?
Oh, yes.
And it will tell you. But I think 99.9% of people who then open up the business think they're going to be different.
Yeah. Well, that's
not going to be me.
With how busy I was right off the bat.
Right.
Because I just want to go back to that. I thought I was getting into a Toyota Corolla. Reliable. Not the best acceleration. But you're safe. You get from point A to point B. You'll get what you need to get done. I didn't realize I was stepping into a Maserati. When I hit that gas pedal and I realized how much what I was doing was needed here.
That's a good thing.
It was a great thing. But it showed me that I do also prioritize how much time I spend with my family. And that conflict was there. I was like, yeah, if I was single and I wasn't married, I would just be doing this for 16 hours a day. I love it. But I also value that part. Finding that balance was that discomfort and having to pump the, brakes a little bit.
Right.
And, in it, getting excited with that new growth and that it was wanted. I think I expanded a little bit faster than I maybe should have. I should have been okay with it just... being in demand and not being able to accept new patients. And so I made some risky choices. Nothing financial, but more that wasn't necessarily the feel that I wanted to go for. That wasn't necessarily the direction I wanted to go.
Did you go against your gut?
I did go against my gut.
Yeah,
there were some things that I was like, ooh, this is a beautiful, beautiful space. But there's some things in the contract, there's some things that aren't long-term that I would have liked, that I didn't push for myself. Advocating for yourself is also something I have learned, oh my gosh, at a very much of a discomfort, is that self-avocation.
And I think that's hard for women to do, because you as we talk about, well, you don't want to upset the apple cart, and you want people to like you, and you want to be nice, and you don't want to be a bitch, and you don't want to be...
Yeah, in the healing field, you are viewed as nurturing. That's just the best way to put it.
We were talking about it yesterday, and this goes along with growth and change and all this, and trusting your gut maybe as well. But one of the things that this industry is always changing. And when I say this industry, I mean the industry that supports entrepreneurs, right? Yeah. So it's marketing. It's all the things that, oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, can you stop for, it's TK. I think he's across the street. All right, I have to regroup. All right. Okay. Did you watch any good movies lately? Have you?
I watched a really bad movie lately. Does that?
What?
Oh gosh, Atlas? Yes. Jennifer Lopez?
Okay. I heard it was horrific.
But I was told it was horrific going in, and so it was kind of fun. Does that make sense? So my husband and
I watched the whole thing?
My husband and I just sat and made fun of it during it.
Okay.
So that was... we knew it was going to be bad going in.
Okay, I'm sorry. She's a horrible actress. So when I was in Nashville with my girlfriends, on Netflix there was also her documentary, and then she did that long form music video or something. And so we watched the documentary, which was longer than the music video, but it was about it, and it was very sweet, because we watched her going through this, and then Ben was in there, and how she was struggling, and how she was questioning herself. So the documentary was really an interesting insight. So we're like, okay, now how everybody's telling her it was stupid what she was doing, and shouldn't do it, and she fought through, right? So we watched the documentary, and you had 4 women who were like, yes, J-Lo, we're on your side. We get it.
Yeah.
So then we watched the fucking music video thing, and it was horrific.
Yeah.
I
don't think I've seen a music video with the movie. Yeah.
It was so bad. And we were really on her side, because we wanted it to be good.
Yeah.
She just shouldn't do that shit anymore. I'm sorry. I'm not a good actress. I know it. I wanted to be at some point in my life. I did a couple commercials back when I was 19 in New York, and had some little walk-ons and was in plays.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. I loved it. But I'm not good at it.
Yeah. No, I get that. I totally get that.
I feel like she should stick to singing and dancing.
So a lot of my husband's job is to watch that stuff, because he works in video games, and they need to be aware of basically pop culture that's going on, in that world, in sci-fi, and so sometimes we have to watch these movies, and he always warns me, which I appreciate, and then lets me choose.
I love that job.
He loves it.
First of all, if it's a sci-fi movie and we got some kind of end of the world apocalyptic shit, I'm on board. Every time. Love it.
Me too.
Okay. Right? It's
AI stuff, questioning what consciousness is.
Oh, yeah. Phenomenal. It's phenomenal stuff. So he has to watch that, because then they turn them into video games and stuff?
It's just being aware of it, because then when they go create things, they get inspired by other art, other things going on.
Oh, that's
and then
cool.
Yeah, and so it's fun. So he always kind of gives me a forewarner, hey, so it's like a trigger warning, but more as this is going to be a really bad movie. Yeah, and then I'll be I'm in the mood for it, but most of the time we just make fun of it if it's a really bad.
So then in turn, do you practice sticking needles in his face?
I will say, when we first met, and I was in grad school, he was a very patient guinea pig, with a lot of learning motor tests and learning how to palpate and things like that. He has his own acupuncturist.
He doesn't use you?
No.
It's probably good.
It's better that way, because I had the experience where I had this wonderful mentor who I recommended Adam go see my husband, and he went to go see him, and he told him the exact same thing I'd been telling him, and he did it. Mm-hmm. And I learned a very valuable lesson at that point. I was like, oh, it's not that he really values what I have to say. It's just different coming from your spouse.
Yes.
And I don't want to be the person that's going, are you really going to eat that? Based on what you've got
Right.
going on. Like,
So do you do that too? Like, do you do nutritional advice?
So-
I don't. You have to explain. I know what acupuncture is.
Yeah.
Okay, I see people the pictures of the needles in the faces and the butts and the things like that. I mean, I don't know. Do they put them in the butts?
there's a couple points, like you have your glutes and your piriformis, and to release those. And let's start with acupuncture. So when
Explain
somebody is called an acupuncturist, okay, typically in the United States and in most states, it means they're a licensed acupuncturist. It's a governing body that makes sure, you have all your safety, you have all your information, you've done all your appropriate schooling, you don't have any, felonies that are sitting back there for violent crimes. But
That's on me. Okay.
but acupuncturist, I feel, is really a minimal of what we do. It just suggests that we do acupuncture. And in our schooling, we are, instructed in nutrition, lifestyle, sometimes some exercises, body work. We're also, trained of when to refer out. And in some schools, in the doctorate program I went through, they teach us how to collaborate with other practitioners, meaning your chiropractor or your medical doctor or your oncology specialist. Mm-hmm. They've taught us to kind of, be able to really be an integrative team. Now, as far as acupuncture and where we stick them, it's all based, most of the acupuncture, there's a different school of thoughts, but most acupuncture is based on something called meridians, which are mainly like pathways throughout your body. I like to think of like a bus line. This is very simplistic and very reductionist in the way this is explained, but this is kind of the way I explained it to most people who haven't done 5 years of school. A bus map. Right?
Okay, yeah. Like a subway map or a bus.
You might get on the Washington Square line, okay? But you're not in Washington Square. And you're not going to Washington Square, but that's eventually where it ends up, okay? You're maybe going to stop at 56th Street.
Right.
Okay? So a lot of times when people, let's say, come in with neck pain, and we use a point on their arm, but I came in for my neck, why are you sticking needles in my arm? And it's that idea of, okay, Washington Square, your neck, there's a pathway that goes there that we're going to either invigorate or tonify or regulate in some way to help with that pain in your neck. Again, not getting on or off at that stop, but that pathway eventually ends up there.
So what? Really? So what do you use? Is it just pain you use acupuncture for?
Oh, no. I will say the vast majority of patients that at least aren't familiar with acupuncture as a modality for treating imbalance come to me at first for pain or have heard that anxiety. I see a lot for anxiety, especially during COVID times. That's typically the first chief complaint, as it were, that people come in with. And then we don't just look at, oh, you have pain, because there's so many things that go into that pain. Anybody who's had a headache knows that it's not just this isolated headache. It can make your sleep worse, or vice versa. Sleep can make it worse, or not getting enough sleep can make it worse. And so we look at the total picture. And while we treat what we call the branch, think of the branches of a tree, we always look for the root of that imbalance. Think of, a tree had a disease. You wouldn't just, if you cut off the branch, other branches are going to pop up that are having that same.
Sure.
You can go to the root of the problem, and the branches will get better.
How do you figure out what the root is?
Lots of schooling.
Okay.
Lots of schooling.
So tell me about the
Asking
schooling. So is this like like you go to you get your BS and then you go to school after that? Is that
yeah? So it's a postgraduate.
Okay.
Or it's a graduate program. Entry level for an acupuncturist is at least a master's. There are some programs that are mentorship based out there. But the amount of hours that you put in them is equivalent to a graduate level degree. Most are switching to university or graduate programs. So entry level is a master's. And then there is something called a first professional doctorate, which is what I have. And that is a continuation of that master's, additional schooling. Mine was in integrative health and research. And then there's a postgraduate doctoral, which is more, a lot of times you specialize. a lot of times women's health, and you have to do a capstone paper or capstone project, which is a very thoroughly researched paper or presentation.
And you're from California, right?
I'm originally from Minnesota, but I did my graduate
I heard
work.
it when you said it.
Yeah. There's certain words it still comes out with, yeah.
But
typically bagel is where, or like bag.
Bagel?
Yeah. Bag. When I say bag, people are like,
oh, you're
where's that
saying
from?
big?
I'm saying bag, like what you put your groceries in.
Oh,
as
holy
grocery
fuck.
bag.
Bag.
Bag. Bag.
Bag. That's right. People make fun of how I say water and coffee and all that.
Yeah, so when I say Minnesota, or
there
it
it
is. Yeah, when I say it, it comes out. But I'm originally from Minnesota. I did my, and that's where I went to nursing school, and then I did my graduate program in California. Yeah,
very nice. That's okay. So I went to an integrative medicine person. I don't know, a couple weeks ago, whatever. I don't, because I had sores. A cold sore, canker sore, whatever the hell you call it. Never had one before on my tongue.
Yeah.
Which makes it very difficult to talk.
It does.
Which is literally my job. Mm-hmm. So I was like, fucked it. I mean, I was like out of my mind. She told me to go to an acupuncturist. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, well, how does that work? And she goes, I don't really know. I just know it works. So how does it work?
Oh my gosh. That is the probably $1 trillion question.
Okay.
I want to make sure I'm understanding your question right. Are you saying how does going to an acupuncturist treat a cold sore, or how does acupuncture work?
Or all of the above.
Okay.
Okay, because I understand the pain part. For some reason, that makes sense to me. You put needles in there, you find the pain. I get. I don't know why I get it, but it makes sense. I don't know the cold sore thing. No. I'm like, is she going to stick needles in my tongue?
She's
the lady's like, no, that's not going to happen. But I don't understand the anxiety and that kind of stuff, like how it would work. Now, I know it does because it's been around for 750 million years. I have no idea how many years it has, but that's my go-to.
So, I'll answer it in two parts. The first part I'll answer is, in general, when we have something like a cold sore or anxiety or pain, that's a symptom. That is not the imbalance that is happening. Okay? A lot of times, and this is kind of the way I work with the body, is when something is going on that's telling you something's not quite right, or it's yelling at you something's not quite right, that's really your body trying to tell you, hey, I need you to listen. There's something out of balance here, and we need to put it back into balance. And sometimes we ignore it. Think of sometimes when you have neck pain. Sometimes, yeah. A lot of times we ignore it.
We're women. We ignore all that shit.
And then it comes back maybe different or even louder. And I always feel like it's your body saying, hey, pay attention, please. There's something going on. I need you to fix it. And I look at it that way because that's for me and for many of my patients, a better way of looking at it than that your body's doing something wrong.
So how do you know when it's just bullshit and when it's important? I guess you don't. You know what I mean? Well, I guess if you stub your toe, you know you stubbed your toe.
I think we can listen to it. Does it have to be a red flag emergency? No. But that's what preventative medicine is about, is saying like, oh, you have this little thing. Oh, I tried to drink more water and it didn't go away. Okay, maybe I should check in with somebody.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a huge investment. But so getting back to my question, how that works with your cold sores, we'd look at that and be like, that is a symptom of a deeper imbalance going on inside. That doesn't apply to like trauma, like you stubbed your toe.
Right.
The imbalance is you just caused trauma to your toe. But so we look at that and go, okay, what else is going on? And typically at a visit, they would ask other questions that would of symptoms that would typically come up during that same imbalance. And narrow it down what's going on. And either, depending on the practitioner, every practitioner does a little bit differently. The way I do it is we would either look at probable causes of it, rule out the things that are nasty, right? Making sure it's nothing that I need to refer out for. Mm-hmm. But then we also look at like, okay, what are the simple things that you can do at home? What is the acupuncture we can do in office? And do we need to add either an herbal formula or supplements, depending on what is going on? Now, as far as how does acupuncture work? like putting needles in these points of the meridian.
Yeah.
So,
which sounds insane.
There is a lot of,
and it looks insane too.
Well, and I will say,
but it looks cool as shit.
Oh, there is nothing more rewarding for me than to step back and be like, that's a beautiful treatment. And I don't, if you were to tell me.
Do you ever want to just take your hand and go,
there's actually a treatment that does that.
Right?
There's actually a treatment that does that.
I feel like I want to be that person.
It's wonderful for spinal column issues. So, but that's like I said, how many hours do you have? But as far as there are so many theories out there about what it is. Is it, a histamine response? Is it a parasympathetic sympathetic response? Is it a placebo? So there's all these different ways, and it's like saying, I want to get this right here. It's like saying, okay, I'm going to take this medication and giving one explanation of how all the medications work.
Right.
Different points in the body do different things.
It just looks so odd.
It looks so foreign to us as Westerners. Absolutely. We didn't grow up with it. The concept behind it isn't something we're familiar with.
Did you always want to do that?
No. I wanted to be a marine biologist.
Yeah, but didn't we all?
Yeah, that is true.
I feel like Amanda's back in the other room. She'll come in and talk about sharks for the next 5 hours.
Good.
If
Well,
you let
we
her.
have something to talk about. I was a nurse for 16 years.
Okay.
And,
what kind of nurse?
A variety. I started out as a orthopedic neurology nurse, and then ended up in trauma and ENT. And all med surgical hospital work. And then I ended up in my own trauma ward as a patient. And in my recovery, I was working at Stanford Hospital at that time.
Did you get to meet my pretend scientist boyfriend, Dr. Andrew Huberman?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I'm sure he's cute.
He's like a fucking superhero.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah. Why are you sure he's cute? Is everybody at Stanford cute?
Well, I don't know about cute, but they're superheroes.
Yeah, they are. Well, Huberman Lab is named after him.
Oh, I bet.
And he's...
Oh, now I'm going to have to see...
No. And then he has one of those voices that you're just like, whatever you say, I'll do.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, here we go.
Absolutely.
And you're smart. I want to suck your brain and do whatever you say. That sounds gross. Okay. Okay, we'll get back. So you're in Stanford Hospital as a patient now.
Yeah, and as a practitioner or as a nurse. So I got the very best care. It was amazing. I had myofascial release. I had some of the top pain doctors, and I was still in pain. And they just kind of looked at me at one point. They're like, I think you're going to be in pain the rest of your life. And at 30 years old...
Hell no.
That's a long time.
I had that stupid canker sore on my tongue for 2 weeks. I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I'm jumping off a bridge. I'm sorry if that offends anybody. A low bridge.
But yeah,
but I was like, done.
Pain is, especially chronic pain, is one of those things that really messes with, again, it's not just pain. It messes with your mind. It messes with your sleep.
Oh, it stresses you out. Yeah. Everything.
And so, one of my friends is like, hey, there's this nurse practitioner, and she's also an acupuncturist. Why don't you just go see her and help? And I went to her, and I had 4 hours without pain for the first time in years. And I went, if I need to come back every single day.
Oh, well, absolutely. When you're in pain, yes, you will.
And that wasn't needed. And during our relationship of, her treating me and talking to me, and I had tons of questions because I'm a curious person, I started becoming fascinated. I mean, questions led to her recommending books, which recommended me going and watching lectures, which then I was like, okay, I think I want to do this. I want to be a different type of practitioner. I realized the amazing things that could be accomplished. I mean, we saved lives.
Oh, yeah.
We saved lives with, very invasive procedures, but they saved lives. Mm-hmm. And I realized that once you saved that life, there were amazing things still that Western Med had to offer, but sometimes there was more needed.
Right, because then there's quality of life.
And then I really wanted to open that up, and I really wanted to be that type of practitioner. And that's still my dream to this day, is to really meet people where they are, hear those things that aren't, the life-saving interventions as in, Western med life-saving, or these big things, but it's like, yeah, you have that cold sore, it's driving you crazy, let's take care of it. Like, that is just as important to me as I'm in pain, I can't get out of bed, like...
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, we still prioritize like what we treat.
Well, of course, but by
a patient basis, you meet the patient where they're at. This is where you're struggling.
So how often do people... So say I came to you. Obviously, my cold sore went away. Didn't end up going to get acupuncture. But if it continued longer, I was even thinking, I'm like, I'm going to have to call Angela and find out, what to do. So, and you can't answer me for that. But how is this like massage where people, again, I've never had a massage in my life. And I'm never going to have one. The idea of laying there on a table and talking bullshit to some lady I don't know or dude I don't know while they're touching me and I'm naked does not seem right to me. Okay? It feels wrong. Let me go in and I'll just get naked and I don't know you, but please touch me. I don't know. Anyway.
Not your thing.
No. I don't understand. I know people love it. But I know it works. I know it's good for people who have tension and all that kind of other crap. I'll hang on to my tension for a little bit. Although, acupuncture. So, but is it like that where you kind of need it or you get it when you're just not feeling right?
So typically, again, every practitioner works a little bit differently, but as a general answer to that question, if it's something acute, meaning it's something that's just occurred, you're cold sore, it hasn't been going on for a long time, especially pain, usually we recommend once a week for usually 6.
How long does it take? It's like an hour or something.
30 to 60 minutes, again, depending on how many things you're coming in for. But most acupuncturists, or even myself, will usually give you a consult and tell you, we're usually looking at this. So I usually tell, if it's acute, one time a week for 6 to 12 weeks to get it gone for acute.
Do people use it? So you mentioned anxiety.
Yeah.
Do people use it instead of like Xanax or those kinds of things? Oh my God! Do people use it to like perform better? Like make their brain like perform better?
Yes.
Like instead of Vyvanse or something like that?
Yes.
Oh, so I'm getting acupuncture.
So I will say, I never recommend acupuncture as a replacement for prescription medication unless I'm working with your practitioner. I never take anybody off of medication without checking in with their practitioner first, just as a general rule. I think it's a good practice not to mess in that. That is not my area of specialty, is medication.
Right.
But I do have patients a lot of times that we work. If one of their goal is, hey, I really want to decrease my use of my pain medication or the use of my, as needed anxiety medication, we take it week by week, and find things that work, finds things that don't work. If supplementation or herbal formulas are a friendlier option to that and don't interact with your medications, then we work with that. But yes, I do have patients that come in for brain performance or ADHD. I do work with some kids that are in high school or even middle school with that. Just to kind of manage that as well.
But do you have to have a problem to get acupuncture?
No.
Okay.
No. That's the most beautiful thing that I think, it's starting to become more accepted in the West. Preventative care, self-care on a regular basis prevents disease later on.
So we're back to self-care, but again, looking different than a bubble bath. I was going to say a stupid bubble bath. I don't think they're stupid, huh?
No.
No, bubble baths are good. But I got to tell you, when you have little kids, and you have, not that I do anymore, they're all older, but I remember I'd get in the bubble bath. It wasn't relaxing. The knocks on the door, the mom yelling through, and then you're like, you still have a little kid. How old?
I do. 3.5.
3.5? Mm-hmm. Oh,
I take my bubble baths after he goes to bed.
Yeah. Oh, so are you currently practicing?
I'm not currently practicing on the acupuncture side right now. On the patient facing side. I do manage quite a few patients, existing patients from when I had the clinic before. We work a lot with supplementation and herbal formulas. We
is acupuncture something where you could go to their house and do it at their house, or they have to come to you? Oh yeah,
yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. That's just not something that meets my needs as a practitioner right now. Maybe it will someday.
You're so good. You're so good because, and when the first time we talked, you're very good at being introspective, what meets your needs. And I think that's really important, and most women don't do that.
It takes a lot of work to do home care, and the amount that I would need to charge to make it feasible to dedicate my time to that. I don't think it would be approachable for most people, and insurance doesn't really cover it. So.
Right. Now, has acupuncture or the practice of acupuncture crossed over into like sports and athletes, and do personal trainers use a lot of it in conjunction with, I don't know, training for...
Yes, I actually have my best friend and colleague out in Bend has a business called Aquaterra Health, and she works with endurance athletes. She actually sponsors a couple athletes out there and works with them on, the aches and pains, endurance support, recovery. So yes, they're not coming in with a quote unquote problem. They're using acupuncture to enhance themselves in
if they have like muscle soreness. Is it just muscles? Is it?
It's blood flow. It's recovery from inflammation. It's a lot.
So it's a lot of, because inflammation's like horrific, right?
Inflammation is your body's way of healing, but when we're constantly giving our body things to heal from chronic inflammation can be the precursor to disease.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when are you going to go back?
I'm not. I don't know if I'm ready to publicly announce that
scarred?
yet. No.
Okay.
I'm actually. I planned to take enough time off until I found a place, and I'm already chomping at the bit. I'm just I miss seeing my patients.
Yeah.
I miss being in the clinic. Working on all the other things from the business side is necessary, but I'm not inspired by that. That doesn't inspire me.
No. Oh, you don't love to do that?
No.
Build websites and do marketing and shit like that?
I'm not even doing that stuff. I
love doing that stuff.
I don't. I can do it. I don't enjoy it. Like, it will get done and it'll look great because
people can do a lot of things. But if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do the best job that someone else who loves to do it will do, and you're not going to also maintain it and continue to do it.
I think my information about Dr. Angela Kelsey-Giddings, acupuncturist, I think it has said coming soon for quite a long time. So, I realized to be able to come back into practice, I need that village. I need that.
100%.
I can't be in an echo chamber, because that is this kind of thing. What we're doing right now inspires me. Whether or not we're talking about acupuncture, my business, my childhood, whatever we're talking about, with working and talking with other people, I gain something from that.
I think
and when working in isolation, I don't thrive.
You can't. I don't think most people thrive. I think even introverts don't thrive that way, because you will then become tasked with doing pieces of your business that you don't like. You don't know how to do, so now you're going to have to learn how to do it. And that sucks all the fucking joy out of everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you will not do it well. And not only won't you do it well, even if you're think you're passing with it and nobody's noticing, people can sniff out unprofessional shit all day long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but then again, why do it alone when you don't have to?
Money.
But you also can even, like this, do things like this. You could even get I get phone call. have phone calls with female entrepreneurs once or twice a week where we just talk on the phone because they need to sometimes I give them zero advice, but if they talk it out with someone else who I have no agenda, I'm not trying to get anything. Obviously, they're paying me, but that's different. Not all of them. I'm not trying to, I don't have a dog in the fight with them other than them being successful.
That's a good point that I hadn't thought about, is that it's not just about hiring somebody else, as in working together.
No, sometimes it's just
do my taxes and I'm going to hire you. But it is this.
Yes.
That's going to give me something to think about.
I think you need both. You need the practitioners who will do the jobs that you don't know how to do, don't want to do, shouldn't do. So you can then focus on growing your business, not working in your business, but working on your business. You cannot do that if you are trying to do things that you are not well versed in, have an expertise in, because other people out there do. So those are the people you pay. But I also think it's very important to have people who don't have any connection to your business, including your husband, your kids, even if they're so well-meaning, they still have a dog in the fight. They still have their own personal agenda, whether they are consciously thinking about it or not. Even your friends do. Your family does. Yeah. So if you then surround yourself with people who are in it as well, meaning they've been there to some extent, not necessarily acupuncturist, it could just be a business person. They're in it as well, so they understand. They just haven't, they're not just teaching it at college. Not that there's anything against college professors, but real
life experience,
but they're really
is different,
doing it. They have the expertise, but they don't have any kind of incentive to lead you in a direction or give you advice that doesn't work for you. I think that's very important. Yeah. And sometimes it could just be a 15-minute conversation. Because I know me, sometimes I just have to talk through things. And I'll say, listen, don't respond to me. I need to talk through this. And I usually get there. And then they go, okay. Yeah. But I think when you try to do things in a room with the door closed and you're just trying to work, that sucks. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's not fun.
I will get my grocery list written really fast that way because it's easy to, because you're not inspired, A, and B, it's easy to get distracted.
What's over here? What's over there?
Oh, we do need raspberries. Should put that on the list, Yeah,
I know. So it's good. So if that is, so do you feel like that's the biggest thing you learned from opening up your first time?
Is the not wanting to work alone?
Well, just needing a team, needing a crew.
I was always the person on group projects that would need to talk, get everybody's roles, and then go home and just put my headphones on and work. But I paid attention to that. I worked really well alone on a project, just doing it. But I ignored that first part. Is that we all got together, got excited. And then we all checked in, and then we all checked in, and then we all checked in. But it was that alone work in between that I was like, I'm really good at that. So I'm going to be really good at that.
Right. And then you realize, well, there were other things that allowed you to be really good at that. Yeah. I can put my headphones on, I know Maddie can too, and just go. And you get in the flow and you can just go. Yeah. However, we even had a little group meeting yesterday because that's a piece of what I do. Yeah. But then having the freedom to be creative so you can think about strategic growth and think about what's going on and working in the business from the outside, you need time to do that. Well, usually those two can't exist in the same day. Yeah. Those are two different ways of working, and your brain works very differently on both those tasks. So we're working on being better, saying this is the day where we make things or we create things or whatever. This is the day where it's a creative day. This is the day. Not all our days will be different, so don't bother me with this. And I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I need to stack all my creative work in the same day. I'm better at it then because I'm in the flow. right? And then my meetings all can be in one day, and then this day can be strategic growth, and then this day can be a free day, and I'm not going to fucking think about work at all.
Because
I need to rest
too.
Yes,
that is
part of being very good when you go back.
That is something that I think as a business owner and a mother, like I feel like they very much go hand in hand sometimes, is realizing that free day or that creative work, even if it's not attaining a product or attaining information, is part of your job too.
Oh, absolutely.
Is part of that, so you can do your job as an entrepreneur, as a mother, as a friend,
and to take the free day without feeling guilty.
Yeah,
everything comes down to feeling guilty when you're a mother, right?
List, you know,
the guilt. Oh, I got rid of that after.
I always joke around with people that I'm a recovering type A personality, but I have relapses. Because it's
hard to be when you have a 3-year-old too,
and a business, because you know every free moment you're like, oh, I should be working on the business.
Oh yeah. Well, you have to be perfect, don't you know that? And you can never make mistakes, and you can never fail, and you have to be there for everybody, and you have to also do the laundry and make the dinner and do everything else. Why can't you do all that?
There was this amazing concept that was recently brought to my attention that there's a way to run a business like a man would run a business. And there's a way to run a business like a woman. And I was like, what does this mean? And I looked at it and I was like,
yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We are so different the way we do things.
Why am I trying to do something that's not working with who I am at a very fundamental level?
Because that's what we've been taught to do.
Well, yes, the question was rhetorical.
Sorry. No, right?
It was more like, okay, how can I change this?
Not only have we been taught, I still get this every day. First of all, I get called bossy all the time. Well, I don't care.
Or intimidating. I get you're intimidating, and I'm like, that's
actually okay, and obviously that's your problem, right, Maddie? Bossy or bitchy but I also have been called, you're like half dude my whole life when I'm being opinionated, and I'm like, okay.
Is that meant as an insult or a compliment? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I always took it as a compliment. However, I was insulted that success and hard work was being equated to acting like a guy. Mm-hmm. So that part's insulting. Mm-hmm. All right? Because not for fucking nothing. We do more. We get more fucking shit done.
And if you're called a girl, you're girly. Like, that's an insult.
I've never been called girly in my life.
Well, but I mean, if a man is called, you're half girl.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, that is so not okay.
No.
On both sides for me. But
those are those, but I mean, we are definitely further away from that than historically we've ever been. But it will always be that way because it's very hard to understand how the other, men are much more. I'm action biased, right? I'm a very action biased person, probably to an extreme extent. And then I go, oh, well, I fucked that up 15 years, but it's okay. It doesn't bother me that I fucked it up because I'm like, what did I learn? Yeah. Now, that's taken years of maturity to get to that point. Most 20-year-olds don't think that way, and I didn't think that way when I was 20 years old. I was afraid of failing and all that other stuff, or looking stupid. I also assumed everybody knew more than me. Yeah. And then you get older, you realize nobody knows shit about anything. I mean, they know what they've experienced, so they know more because they've failed more.
Yeah, or that they are speaking well to what they know.
Right.
But not speaking well to what
doesn't
they don't
mean
know.
Right. It doesn't mean I'm going to tell you how to run an acupuncture. Yeah, I probably will tell you that. But not the part you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think running a business like a woman, I would prefer to do that. Not because I think being someone equating me to running it like a man is offensive. I don't think a lot of my good friends would say that to me, and I was like, yeah, go, whatever. I don't fucking care.
Can I ask you a question? Is this the way this works?
Can
I ask her a question?
What? What
does running a business like a woman look like to you? Because I'm examining that same thing myself.
I think, this is what I think, okay? I think it's much more being much more comfortable not knowing the answers to everything or acting like you know the answers to everything. I think it's more of a collaborative environment. Now, there will always be individuals who are assholes, who are douchebags, men, women, up, down, left, right? It doesn't fucking matter. I think women are much more comfortable with saying, you know what, I'm sorry I fucked that up. Yeah. I think women are much better at seeing different answers to one problem, different ways of approaching it, because I don't think that we are restricted by being soft or caring or nurturing if it's required, or being more understanding of how that other person is feeling and where they're coming from. I think we're better at doing that because we have to do that with our children, and I think it's just kind of ingrained in us. Okay, you know what I mean? And I think men are more at war. Obviously. Yeah. They fucking start all the goddamn fucking wars. Here's my plan. This is my plan. This is what I said the other day. Because I'm so tired of, I don't watch, I opted out of that a couple years ago. Okay. But I have such a freaking problem with these old white dudes and women, whoever's up in Congress, the political, realm, don't mean to get into politics. I'm not getting into politics, actually. Deciding to send children to fight their fucking battles on the battlefield because they are who has the bigger dick, all right? Obviously, this is very big simplification. Well, and it's maybe not. Yeah. But here's my idea, okay? So when they vote to go to war or whatever these battles, then we have 529 people in Congress or whatever it is. I say, if they're going to vote on going to war and sending these 18-year-old young boys who are just starting their lives to go fight battles, fine. But then half of them, there's going to be a little box, and they're going to pull 250 names out of it. And everybody in that area, they're going to have to go to. So put your money where your mouth is and stop sending children to war. Anyway, I don't know how I got off on that, because it's making me crazy because I think of these babies. Yeah. These are babies.
They're somebody's children.
They're children who are going to fight battles of old dudes swinging who has the biggest dick, fighting over stupid shit. Anyway, and that's how women do things differently than men.
And that's why women run business.
And I believe, I don't know the numbers, but I believe statistically, now that we're allowed to be in the C-suite, women leaders are more successful at running businesses long-term than men. I think we have enough data now. We'll have to look that up. And this is not an anti-man conversation at all. I love all the men in my life.
Well, and I always look at it as, there's the status quo of how businesses have been run, whether you're talking about in the patriarchy or in a profit-based model. There's so many, or even, this is how hospitals have been run. And then you look at, is that working?
Right.
Is that working, and how can we change it? I've always been very solution-based with my problems. Okay, I'm really cold. Okay, is this something I have to tolerate for a little bit because I didn't bring a coat and I have to wait till I get back home? Or, I brought a coat. I mean, that's very simplistic. But this is happening right now. Yes, this is the way it's always been. Does it have to be this way?
No, of course it doesn't.
And more often than not, the answer is no.
Right.
And so, that's why I was really curious about your answers.
Even if it worked that way a year ago, it doesn't mean the world changes. The people change in it.
And we change.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that you were getting at before, is like that introspection, that changing, asking yourself. That's why I wanted to ask you the question. Well, what does a woman-run business look like? What makes it different for you? Because what it makes it different for you may look differently than what makes it different for me.
And my answer was solely based on me and my experience.
Yeah, and that's what I think further emphasizes your point of, we can't do this alone.
No. You need different opinions, ideas, experiences. You need and you need to listen to it, and you also need to know when not to listen to it.
Yeah.
So there we go. We're going to end like that. But listen to the podcast. You always have to listen to that.
Definitely.
Angela, I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to get some acupuncture.
Oh, I would love to give you acupuncture.
I have swollen legs. You need to fix that.
We can
just
work on it.
fix all the things. All right. Thank you.
Who else is looking up a million questions about acupuncture? Reminder to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and follow along our socials to stay up to date on all things Vitality Ventures Group. Thanks again. How are you using your power?